Peace and blessings, family. You know, I know our people, my people, our people, black people, us, all, right? Don't necessarily like being called emotional. Don't like when they're called out on being emotional, or another way of saying it, overly emotional. Typically, when I use the term being emotional, I'm saying that your emotions has overridden your intellect. So when I say it, that's what I mean when I say we're too emotional, right? Too emotional. We're overly emotional. And what I'm saying is, again, we are at a point to where the actions and the words aren't rational. They aren't thought out. There definitely is a could have been a better way to deal with something, a more smarter, a more strategic way, one that is conducive towards the overall end. And this is how you could gauge when something is rational or logical. It's when you could say that the approach is conducive to your personal as well as overall end, as a group, as a people. Again, you want to suffer as less losses as possible, right? It's war. It's war on different levels. So whenever you set out to oppose an opposition of any sort, that is a level of war. And at war, a lot of times you will sacrifice something, and loss is possible. It isn't necessary. It is possible. So in any fight, you aren't trying to lose. So you shouldn't jump head first into any type of opposition to where you are in a position to immediately lose and lose drastically. The biggest or greatest loss is life. But to put yourself in a position where you know that the loss of life is evident or inevident, then you have to make sure that the trade is equal to or greater. And am I saying life for life? Well, at a minimum. But I'm saying more so than that, that whatever your objective is, that the reason that you're in that position, the reason that you have opposed that opposition, whatever your objective is, has to reign louder than the potential or inevitable loss of life. So again, over emotional. We have to really master our emotions. And they say black people are more emotional than any other group. Well, I believe that every human being has the same um, emotional proclivity, inclination, as any other. However, I think that culture affects that. One's upbringing, one's house, in their home culture, one's people culture. The things that typically motivates, incites, propels or compel a people, all that play a part in it. We are programmed and trained by our home, our elders, our environment, our social life, those who look like us on TV and movies, and all those ideas program us a certain type of way. And so you have to be mindful of unhealthy programs that aren't healthy for you and your young ones, because it starts with the parents, the grown people, and it frickles or leans down towards, or what's the word I'm looking for? It is passed down to the young ones. So the thing about the emotional state, though, the main thing is that I want to point out here is uh, the more educated a person or a people are in any area of education, whether it could be towards health, whether it be towards business, finances, marketing, whatever, right? Sex, like whatever. I'm saying educated, not experience. Experience is a aspect of education. However, experience isn't necessarily the type of education that I'm speaking of. The more studied or studious one is about a particular area, a particular subject matter, the more educated one is, the less emotional one tends to be. Because you see, the emotions is like the backup, is the one that takes the position in the argument when one is uneducated. You see, the mental, the educated part of you would naturally take over an argument, take over a debate, take over a discussion when you are educated highly or at whatever level in a conversation, in a debate. And this is what typically happens. One is slightly educated under most circumstances. And one's education tends to sometime or often go no further than word of mouth, what they've heard. You know, a lot of us don't go no further than that level of educating ourselves, just listening to others, what one told me, what I heard, what I thought. And you see, that isn't a sound level of education. And this is why when your education or your logic or your facts or your truth or your intelligence is challenged, you become emotional. You become emotional because of the lack of soundness in your intelligence, in your department of education in that particular area. And so this is what I strongly encourage, is that we truly strive to be more educated in all areas, especially those areas that are most important to us. That we strive to be definitely educated in areas that concern us. Truly educated. And be truly educated means you have to study areas even where you differ. Because you have to know what your opposition thinks. You have to know where they get their information from. You have to know their sources I would say knowledge, or their sources of authority. You know, you will have to understand their argument and where it comes from to have a proper and educational defense. You know, in any area, whether it be law, whether it be health, whether it be economics, you know, politics, whatever, right? And so this is my message today. This is what I strongly encourage for us, is that we educate ourselves before we embark upon the war on the level of conversation or debates or arguments. Before we embark upon war on that level, you know, that we sometimes choose to not say nothing. Just listen when we know we don't know enough about something. That is the most educated position to take when one isn't sure about what they know and don't know. Just keep learning, being a student. That's the most intelligent position. That's how we unlearn and relearn and master our emotions. Peace and blessings.